Welcome everyone to our fourth quarter Governor's Workforce Council meeting. I'd like to welcome our council members as well as our many other partners, community members, government, and from the business community. I'd also like to wish everybody a very joyful holiday season and a happy and healthy new year. Now I'd like to introduce 5 new associates from the Office of Workforce Strategy. Grace Sue, our CareerConnect support, who will be moving into the Chief of Staff role. Melanie Baldwin, Grants and Contract Specialist. Karen Quesnell, Grants and Contract Specialist. Misty Martinek, Fiscal Administrative Assistant. And Ali Mulrooney, an Infrastructure and Clean Energy Program Manager for us. Welcome all to the Office of Workforce Strategy, and thank you personally for all the support to the Governor's Workforce Council. Today's meeting is going to focus on a familiar theme that we've been talking about, the labor shortage, but specifically tackling how to tackle the labor shortages, looking at some of the best practices that companies, nonprofits, government, and educators are taking to attract and retain non-traditional talent. I think we all realize that we're going to have to expand the talent pipeline if we're going to be able to kind of, meet the needs, along with obviously kind of providing the training and education that people need to qualify for those roles. So today we're going to highlight some really practical approaches being taken by different employers, and even dive deeper in the 4 o'clock hour, where we'll have breakout sessions that by industry sector, so we can engage in very specific discussions around workforce strategies that businesses are using with success. After we complete our housekeeping items, our votes that we need to take, Kelli Vallieres will give us a demonstration, really exciting, of the new CareerConnect portal that will be available to all people in the state, that is being used to support the 17 programs that make up CareerConnect. We're also going to get to hear from a couple of organizations who have run a couple of the early CareerConnect cohorts. But before we get to all this, I'd like to provide just a little bit of context once again of where we stand today as a council. It's been 2 years since the approval of our current strategic plan, Governor's Workforce Council strategic plan, which indeed laid out a vision for an equitable workforce system that would meet the needs of employers and expand opportunities for residents. And there were 19 strategic initiatives that were part of that. It was a pretty broad, all-embracing plan. We're at a point where it's time to do a formal assessment of our current state and workforce, and of our progress against the plan. And so we've been speaking now with our Data and Accountability Committee of the Governor's Workforce Council, led by Christy Pentima, who is, as you know, the CEO of the CBIA, and Maggie Hulse, who is the head of enterprise at Indeed. And they're going to help us to do this assessment so that we can report back to the full Governor's Workforce Council. And at that time, also discuss updates to our strategy, so that we're really focusing on the most important issues that are facing the workforce system and the different people in our state that we're trying to support, and the needs that employers are facing. The other point I want to make is that January is going to be an extremely busy and exciting month for the Office of Workforce Strategy. We're going to be launching 3 new programs fully: CareerConnect, Good Jobs Challenge, which involves the regional sector partnerships that many of you are involved in, and Connecticut Health Horizons, which is the program supporting nursing and social work education. Over the next 3 years, we expect these programs will provide career opportunities for at least 8,000 people. On Monday, this coming Monday, December 12th, Governor Lamont will host a press conference to kind of officially launch the CareerConnect program. So we're really excited about that. So now I would like to turn to our housekeeping business We have two votes we need to take. One is on approval of the September minutes, and the other is approval of the proposed meeting dates for this council in 2023. Maybe I'll just explain that before I ask for a motion from a council member to approve the minutes and the meeting dates, and then we'll do these votes together to kind of save time. We have a meeting planned in February, and then on April, we're going to have a shorter business meeting of the council, but then we have an all-day workforce summit, which we're really excited about, that will take place, right after our meeting into the mid-afternoon, where we'll have outside speakers and really be able to get much more into kind of what the really opportunities in our state are. And everybody is, of course, invited to it. It's voluntary, but I think it'll be very exciting. We're doing this in collaboration with the CBIA and with the state college system. And then you see the other meetings in July and October. So with that, can we have a motion from a council member to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who's that? Who seconded?
Cindy Bigelow.
Thank you, Cindy. Any discussion on that, on the minutes? I'm also going to then ask, can we get a motion for approval of our meeting dates for 2023?
So moved.
Second. Who is the second?
Shannon Ocasio.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I think the only comment that I'll make quickly is that the April 21st meeting is an in-person meeting, and the rest of the dates on there are virtual, as we have been doing them.
Thank you, Kelly. I forgot to mention the most exciting aspect, that after 2 years of COVID and post-COVID, whatever, we're actually going to kind of have a meeting in person. Yeah, really exciting. So with that, I'm going to call roll call of the council members and just kind of tell me your vote, yes, no, or abstain on each one, the minutes and the meeting dates.
Hey,
Amy
Mark,
Porter.
just
Yes.
real quick. Thanks, Amy. So sorry to interrupt. And if you are a designee for an individual, please state so for the record. Sorry, I'll turn it over to you, Commissioner Porter.
Great. This is Amy. Yes to both. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Andrew Bond or Courtney Murphy for electric vote?
This is Andrew Bond. Yes to both.
Thank you, Andrew. Anthony Medici for Medtronic?
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Yes and yes.
Thank you, Andrew. Alexandra Dahm, Commissioner, our new Commissioner for DECD. I don't know if she's here, or Paul Robertson, if you're here. Okay. Brian Doubles or George Anderson for Synchrony.
Hi, Mark. George Anderson here. Yes to both.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell Tucker, State Department of Education, or Keith Norton.
Hi, Mark. Keith Norton here. Yes to both.
Thank you, Keith. Christy Pentima, I think has a board meeting here right now, so I don't think he's here. Cindy Bigelow.
Yes to both.
Thank you, Cindy. Chris O'Connor or Kyle Ballou for Yale New Haven Hospital, Yale New Haven Health.
Yep, Kyle Ballou. I am Chris's designee, and yes to both.
Thank you. Commissioner Dante Bartolomeo.
Yes to both.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ed Hawthorne, the AFL-CIO. Erica Smith from, sorry, it's printed so small, Renetic. Yeah.
No, all good. Yes to both.
Okay. Marty Guay for Stanley Black & Decker.
Yes to both, Mark.
Thank you, Marty. Jay Williams from the Hartford Foundation. Jeffrey Flax, I guess he cannot be. Is there somebody else from Hartford Healthcare that is his representative? Dr. John Murphy from Newbonts.
Good afternoon. Yes to both.
Thank you, John. Joseph Gianni from Bank of America.
Yes to both, Mark.
Thank you, Joe. Judy Olian from Quinnipiac. Oh, I guess she declined. Eileen Komar, or representing Kathy Szilard from Stanford Hospital.
Sal Mancino representing
Sal.
Kathy Szilard, Mark. Yes to both.
Thank you, Sal. Kelli-Marie Vallieres.
Yes to both.
Thank you. Dr. Leslie Torres-Rodriguez.
Yes and yes.
Thank you, Leslie. Leticia Colan de Mejas.
She is not able to be on right now, so I don't know that she'll be able to vote today. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Maggie Hulse or Jack Murphy from Indeed.
Hi, Mark. This is Jack Maloney from Indeed for Maggie Hulse. Yes to both.
Thank you. I vote yes to both. Michelle James.
Yes to both.
Thank you, Michelle. Molly Kellogg. Dr. Medette Ferguson. Mayor Neil O'Leary. Or Joe McGrath. Paul Costello.
Yes to both, Mark.
Thank you, Paul. Mayor Peter Nystrom. Rich Jacob for Peter Salve from Yale.
Yes to both, Mark.
Thank you, Rich. Dr. Rajenka Merrick or Glenda Gionda Kersaint from UConn. Jeff Walker from Infosys.
Yes to both.
Thank you, Jeff. Ray Pinault. Rohan Freeman. Dr. Sal Menzo. Shana Eddy or Peter Holland.
Yeah, this is Peter, Mark. Yes to both.
Thank you. Sharon Barr.
Yes to both.
Thank you. Stephen Sullivan.
Mr. Chairman, Jonathan Harris from Eversource. Steve actually is at Chris's board meeting. I'm
Okay.
here as his designee, but I don't know if that makes me a formal designee. So
Okay.
if it
Well,
does, yes to both.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Suresh Baltaswamy. Terrence Chang or Alice Pritchard. Tiana Ocasio.
Yes to both.
Representative Tony Walker.
Yes to both.
Thank you, Representative. Ty Talley Rushing.
Yes to both.
Thank you. I think that is everybody. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Kelli Vallieres to discuss CareerConnect.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see you all here today. We're very excited to be able to provide an update to CareerConnect. I wanted to give just a brief overview and then share with you where we're at with this program currently. So we have an investment of $70 million of ARPA funds. This investment came through the governor's office in the legislative process, and thanks to our appropriation chairs, and thank you to Representative Walker for their support on this really amazing program. So a quick overview of the program. We've been able to fund now 19 programs. You'll see some of the statistics around the investments made in each of these industry sectors with the dollar amounts included to them. But I think some of the really unique and important parts of this program are that the funds in our workforce system are, and through this investment, have been able to be utilized to really build out a systematic framework that brings together some components of our system that haven't traditionally worked together or spoken to each other in a common platform. So 51% of the funds went to small community-based organizations. And these are organizations that are really right in the neighborhoods of the people that are underemployed, unemployed, who may have traditionally been left out of the workforce system, that we are working to attract into the workforce system to be able to provide them with foundational employability skills, as well as the technical skills that they're going to need to be successful in the entry into a career ladder role in many of these organizations that you see here today. We have specific programs that are focused on reentry population and the unique needs of each of these populations. There's programs focused on people with disability, on immigrants and women, on opportunity youth, on high school students or recent grads who are not college bound and don't have a pathway forward, just to name a few. So we're very excited about this opportunity to bring these funds and these programs into these neighborhoods, as well as support our traditional workforce system through the workforce boards. And our workforce boards have been tremendous partners in the development of the foundation of the programs, the development of the front door virtual portal that it will be easily accessible across the state of Connecticut, and also looking at best practices of each of the workforce boards and being able to expand best practices in programming across the state of Connecticut. So for a brief example, the workforce board is going to be doing a healthcare academy for everyone who's interested in healthcare to help them determine which pathways in the healthcare industry are most appropriate and of interest to them before they engage in the actual training program. So we make sure we're making the best match. And we've also, all of these programs and the trainings are linked to employer demands. So employers have all informed what is needed. They've informed when these programs are needed so that they can hire right out of programs. So we're very thankful to our business partners, many of whom are on this meeting today, for your support in helping us, bring the talent that you need, help develop and bring that talent that you need there. So we're really excited about this opportunity. And today I would like to just highlight for you two specific programs that have completed training programs under the CareerConnect funding and have graduated their first graduates. So today we're going to be highlighting energy efficiency for all. And I'd like to introduce to you all Lillian Borrow. She is a community affairs and government relations and program facilitator for energy efficiency for all, which is a Connecticut-based nonprofit really focused on raising equity and diversity in the energy sector and expanding the clean energy sector in the state of Connecticut. And she has brought with her Ofelia Rodriguez, a very recent graduate of this program, which I had the joy of attending their graduation ceremony a few weeks ago and learning all about the graduates. And I think one of the unique things about their program is not only are they highlighting in developing technical skills, but also the employability skills necessary for people to be successful. For example, in the graduation, every one of the students got up and spoke about their experience in the training program and what this is meaning for their families moving forward. So we're excited to have them here today. And once we have them speak, I will introduce our next speakers from the Connecticut Building Trades Institute. So I'd like to turn it over to Lillian.
Thank you, Kelly. Good afternoon. I'm Lillian Bruff. I work with Efficiency for All as the Community Relations and Government Affairs Liaison and Program Facilitator. EFA is a nonprofit run by people of color. It was established in 2018. EFA's focus is on educating the community on the importance of energy equity, energy resilience through energy efficiency and sustainability strategies. Our recruiting for this energy efficiency training program placed diversity, equity, and inclusion at the forefront of our recruitment, training efforts, and full implementation plans. We began by explaining to potential candidates that our priorities and goals provide a hand up, not a handout. We meet people where they're at and work on shoring up their potential areas of growth while simultaneously providing guidance and training that helps these vulnerable individuals navigate new waters in the world of workplace responsibilities. The model that Leticia and the Efficiency for All team uses, it provides real wraparound services, clothing, tools like drills, and a full set of work tools. We teach students how to keep money flowing, how to budget for a rainy day. We teach them how to use their tools like talking, teamwork, tenacity, and talents, coupled with agency and prosperity action-based approaches. Agency and prosperity skills are planning skills, time management, communication, reach goals. Some people call those soft skills, but we assert that these skills are essential and not soft or easy. Some folks have not seen home ownership modeled, driver's licenses, and car insurance, and others have not experienced work ethics that drive them to financial independence and real success. Our first cohort from last year, from October to December 2021, we had a total of 15 people. All 15 are still gainfully employed today. I will drop that workforce report data and metrics in the chat shortly. We ran into real bumps and flat tires that helped us plan ahead for the participants this time around. These learning opportunities helped us prepare for additional preparation for certifications. Even more exciting news, our next cohort is being placed in OJT training right as we meet. We are halfway through our second cycle. The participants in this cohort are from all over the state, including Bridgeport, West Haven, Hartford, Willimantic, Waterbury, and Windsor. All 16 current participants will be gainfully employed next week. The contractors in our network will continue to train them in their OJT placements for 6 weeks. EFA pays for the OJT and covers the workplace insurance. Our model has the added benefit of industry leaders of Avangrid and Eversource. This braided funding allows us to provide the specific certifications that are required to work in residential energy efficiency programs. This incredible partnership helps to fill part of the funding gap by paying for the certifications and aligning with DEI metrics. We have contractor collaboration provided by small energy efficiency businesses located in Connecticut. These businesses are in dire need of trained individuals to tackle the national infrastructure plans, which will provide Connecticut a chance to reach our energy efficiency and energy independence goals while creating and maintaining local jobs. Our proposal, like many others, was not able to be fully funded. Thus, we are currently looking at additional funding partners to support the statewide approach in a more efficient way. Connecticut has over 34,000 energy efficiency workers. These men and women, like our 16 graduates this quarter, are all now taxpayers. Real workforce programs drive economic resilience in our vulnerable communities. In our case, these graduates return home and are helping to support lowering energy pollution and decreasing environmental justice impacts on Connecticut's most vulnerable communities. Everyone in the second cohort has been placed in a 6-week on-the-job paid internship with a licensed Connecticut contractor. A hand up versus a handout empowers the individual to gain control over their future. Having a stable career allows an individual the ability to support their family's financial needs while also helping our communities save energy and save money. This is an all-win situation. I have placed resources. I'll be placing resources in the chat shortly. Thank you, OWS, for this opportunity to share what we know and plant seeds as we grow.
Thank you so much, Lillian, for that amazing overview of the program. And so I would like to hand it over to the one of the stars of the show today, Ofelia Rodriguez, to spend a few moments telling us about her experience.
Yes, hello. Hello? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ofelia Rodriguez. Today, I'm going to share my story with you of how I came across this amazing opportunity that has infiltrated me with such important knowledge that not only has and will continue to help and impact my life, but everyone else who lives on this planet, our home. Before I started this certification training to become a BPI building analyst, I volunteered and worked. I volunteered as a dog walker, and I picked up garbage during my walks in nature. I worked in construction. I worked as a DSP, that is working with people with mental and physical disabilities. I worked as a nanny, and that is helping with the growth and development in toddlers. Helping and caring for others is in my nature. This is where this program comes in. With these certifications, I and anyone else who is legally certified will be able to help customers make their enveloped homes healthier for them, their children, and their pets. It will also help homes become more energy efficient. It will extend the home's longevity. It will improve the market value of the homes, and it will help save carbon emission footprint. And the best part is that we will be helping our environment. Before this program, I felt a bit confused and lost. Now that I am certified, I feel secure with employment and more at ease with financial stability. My ultimate goal is to become financially independent by doing the right thing, and most of all, by keeping my integrity. Thank you, Office of Workforce Strategy, and thank you, Government Lemont. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ofelia, and congratulations on all of your hard work and dedication. We all wish you the best and look forward to following your success.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Now I'd like to introduce to you Yolanda Rivera. Yolanda is a director of the newly established Connecticut State Building Trades Training Institute. And we're very excited to be able to have her here today to share a little bit about the Institute and what this means for our young and older people who are interested in getting into the building trades. And then we'll hear from James and Wesley about their experience in the cohort. Thank you, Yolanda.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Kelly, for that introduction. Before I begin, I also want to congratulate Lillian, Leticia, Edgardo, and everyone at IFA, as well as congratulate Ofelia on taking advantage of what they offered, because I know that they do make a difference with the work that they do, and they do transform lives through their training. So again, thank you for the opportunity that you have provided to ourselves and be able to talk to this council about what the Connecticut State Training Institute is. Thank you also for the award that we have received through CareerConnect grant. The Training Institute is a new entity that was founded by the Connecticut State Building Trades Council, and basically in 2022. So this is a new entity. However, those of us that are working at the Institute are not so new. We have many years of putting trainings together, and basically kind of a lot of experience in the workforce development field. And I can tell you that, among all of us, we have a vast knowledge of the construction field and how to prepare individuals to enter successfully and in enrollment in a registered apprenticeship training program. So our goal is to recruit, train, and retain Connecticut residents interested in applying into the unionized registered apprenticeship training programs. In this effort, our partners are the Joint Apprenticeship Directors Committee of Connecticut, which is comprised of directors or coordinators of the various local unions across the state of Connecticut and their respective registered apprenticeship training programs, and the Construction Workforce Initiative out of New Haven under the leadership of Dominic Baez. Our program model consists of outreach and recruitment, assessment, case management, short-term construction readiness programs, and for job placement, we facilitate the application of our graduates to the various registered apprenticeship programs. While our participants go through this process, they receive case management and retention support services. Among the supportive services that we provide are stipends. We provide transportation assistance, work gear and tools in order for them to be able to assimilate to the workforce and enhance their chances to success in their programs. We are firm believers that the registered apprenticeship training system is a great vehicle or strategy to prepare a skilled workforce that will continue to support and strengthen the construction industry in the state of Connecticut. As such, the Training Institute is the feeder program to all these various unionized apprenticeship programs. So far, since we began the effort, we have been in various communities across the state of Connecticut. We have been in Windham, we have been in Manchester, we've been in Torrington. Actually, Torrington was the last cycle that we conducted. This group completed or graduated on Monday, November 21st at City Hall. We were fortunate to basically enroll and complete all 10 trainees. Out of the 10, all of them have been committed to all the various apprenticeship training programs. Actually, the laborers came in and they took half of the class. So half of the class are becoming members of Local 230. And then the remaining 5 are going to be entering the bricklayers, the carpenters, and plumbers. And prior to that, we were in Manchester where we had 8 residents. And from these 8 residents, 1 of them entered the sheet metal workers, 1 became a carpenter, 4 joined the finishing trades. And for those of you, the finishing trades represent various trades, among them the painters, the drywall finishers, as well as the painters. And most of them went in and they became bridge painters, and 1 of them was a glazier. And then James, who happens to be here today with us, he actually entered and enrolled into the Plumbers Local 777 apprenticeship training program. And then, of course, we had one that while he was training, he was actually working. And then I guess he was doing such a good job that the employer decided to give him more money. And he decided to stay where he was, and that is okay too. So, with that said, I am going to say that what is unique about the work that we do is that while the building trades leadership goes across the state of Connecticut securing construction projects, we go into those municipalities and we recruit and prepare residents from that municipality so that the residents themselves can go to work within those projects. So, from all that pre-employment preparation that we do, they go into the registered apprenticeship training programs where they work with talented and experienced, instructors. They learn the skills, they learn the trade, and then they go and they in this case, they go and build and work within the communities where they live. And, and then of course they have to go wherever the job is. But these residents get to start their careers within their own communities. I would like, to kind of further ado, I am going to introduce James so that he can talk about his own experience going through the program and following the process and then entering, the registered program and his pathway that he's in today. James.
Hi, everyone. My name is James Pierog. I was brought to the building trades program with a job fair that was in my school. There they showcased all of the building trades. All the building trades came out and showcased to all of us what their trade is and explained it to all of us. From there, I was able to apply with Yolanda to start a 5-day training process. About 2 weeks later, I started the training process with Yolanda and went through the 5-day training program. From then, me and the other graduates of my class were able to then apply to the selected trade that we wanted to go into, and they were very helpful during the process. And throughout there, they then brought me to the plumbers where I was able to put in my application. And right now, I was able to complete my application and was actually hired in late October this year, and I'm currently working right now. And what this opportunity has done for me in my future has provided me with great benefits and a lot of financial security. I think it is a very great opportunity being at such a young age to be able to get such a great paying career and with such great benefits such as healthcare and pensions and an annuity for a secure retirement. And I am very grateful for everything that Yolanda and the Building Trades program has done for me.
Thank you, James. We're very proud of you too, and we're looking forward to your licensing within 5 years, so where you can become a licensed plumber.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, James, and thank you so much, Yolanda. We're very excited to see how your students progress and the amazing opportunities that they have to join the licensed trades across the state of Connecticut. We're in an unprecedented time for infrastructure, so you will have a lifetime of work in front of you, James. I'm sure of that. Now I'd like to just take a few minutes and share with you briefly the overview of CareerConnect portal and our marketing campaign. Laura, if you could give me share permission. Great. Here we go. There we go. Can everyone see that? Okay, so our landing page is on the state of Connecticut's portal, ct.gov/CareerConnect. And from here, you'll see a little bit about the program overview, a little of our marketing campaign, which we're very excited. You'll start to really see in earnest social media. You'll see billboards, radio, TV spots, even at the gas station where you see the little monitors will be up in some of those as well. We've put together marketing kits for all of our grantees and actually anyone who is interested in helping us promote and reach those students so that we can get this opportunity in front of them and be available for you. So all you need to do is, the important thing about this too is that it creates a front door, a virtual front door for all of our training programs for anyone who's interested in getting connected to the workforce system on this portal. It is available in Spanish and English at this point, and we'll be working to add other languages as necessary moving forward. So when you come to this landing page, you can ask a bunch of different questions up here, and you can see a bunch of resources. But most importantly, this gets you started on your career path in the portal. So if you click on the career path portal, it will bring you right into this really comprehensive resource. It's not just a place to sign up, but it's a place to get connected and to learn more about all of the job opportunities that we have. So you'll go to a home page and you'll be asked to register. It's basically your name and your zip code. And you get the opportunity then to create a career passport, and which is a spot for you to upload all of your experiences. So I've put in a few of my experiences from my past into the portal. You can either add them one at a time, you can upload your resume, or you can just simply add skills in the skills profile of what you think are your fundamental skills. From there, it will give you an analysis of your career path and what are some of the things that you are interested in doing. And I had put in here that I'm interested in learning about manufacturing and what programs are available there. So here it tells me about what are some of the foundational technical skills that are necessary, and then the foundational employability skills that are necessary to be successful. From here, you can check out the many different types of training programs that are available. And as more and more programs come online with CareerConnect, this will get built out in a very robust way. It will give you an overview of the course here so that you can learn more about the training program. And it will also be able to give you the schedules, as schedules are continuing to be added here. It can also give you an idea of what the current jobs are that are opening right now across the state of Connecticut that meet kind of the interests that you have. So you can give a bunch of different opportunities here to see what is available. And then from here, we also have a whole list of resources available for you. So once you have gone in here and you've registered and very importantly, taken the skills inventory, which is a required part of this process, the skills inventory is simply 16 questions. It should take an average of 15 to 30 minutes to complete. And this gives the program providers an understanding of where the skills are that include some basic math, reading, comprehension, spatial reasoning, some situational awareness types of employabilities questions. There's really no right or wrong. This is not set up to preclude people from participating in programs, but for our program providers to understand the baseline of where people are coming in so that they can provide the appropriate support services and additional maybe background training and opportunities to get people up to speed so that we set them up for success, right? We don't want to set them up for failure. We want to set them up for success. So from there, you can, click through all of the resources that are up here on the screen. You can create your own kind of roadmap. It will keep your information here. You can go back. You can continue to explore the different opportunities and options. And once you've completed the skills inventory, depending on how you come into the portal, if you click that specifically, I've learned about EFA's program and I want to be a weather technician, you can click on that and go directly to EFA. If you don't know what you want to do, you have no idea, you'll be connected to a career coach from one of the American Job Centers who will help walk you through all of the options and get you enrolled in the programs that are of most interest to you. And also you'll see on here, we have Laura, who's available for answering any questions while you're here on the platform immediately. So there's a lot of opportunities here to connect. This is not the only way to get connected to these programs. If anyone goes into any of the American Job Centers, the career coaches there will know how to get people connected here. But I think most importantly here is we're now collecting data and we're connecting that data in with the Department of Labor and their data pool. So people will need to also enroll in CT hires, which they can have a career coach help them through that process. But what this whole system does is not only helps us recruit people and send them to a single point of entry to make it really easy so they don't have to go and look for all of these different opportunities across the state. They're all here in one platform, but we'll also be able to collect and report out on a lot of data that will let us know what programs are most efficient in getting people trained and into job ladders. We'll be able to connect to their wage growth over time to be able to, again, be able to see a long-term effect of these training programs. We'll be able to add to this platform more and more resources as we go, in which we've already had many conversations on many different things that could be added here. But we've also have included opportunities for other resources that we can continue to add. The workforce boards, the Skill Up program, which is really important, connection to 211 Connecticut Services, and a bunch of others, including the community colleges who have a lot of programs as well, if people don't see what they're looking for here. But I think, you know, more importantly, this has been an opportunity to really build out a systematic approach with a foundational framework for connecting into the system, and has really been an opportunity to enhance the workforce system and really elevate the best practices that we have across the state of Connecticut in doing this. And, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't have a shout out to the workforce boards who have been very instrumental in designing and developing this portal that will be used robustly across the state. And the goal here is that these foundational tools like the portal will live on beyond the funding source of CareerConnect. So this is something that is hopefully here to stay and to grow and continue to enhance our workforce system. So I'm happy to answer any, we have any questions that you have if you'd like to put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them there. And then if we could pop back up the screen, we just have a couple little resources to share with you on what our U campaign looks like. But you'll be seeing this more and more. And in the press conference on Monday, we'll be really highlighting the U campaign as well. But and it will go out in Spanish and English. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share this with you. And at this point, I'm going to kick it back to Mark to lead us into our next panel discussion.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. So exciting to see this portal and to see, you know, the students that have already completed some of the CareerConnect training. Next, we're going to launch our exciting panel discussion focused on best practice models for attracting and retaining non-traditional talent. We're going to focus today on 3 strategies, and we'll break up this panel a little bit, and Kelly will help me into 3 different segments. We're going to talk first about apprenticeships, then we're going to talk about career pathway programs in high schools, and then we're going to be talking about some programs addressing the needs of returning citizens. So really excited about all that. So I'm going to introduce the panelists that are going to be focusing on apprenticeships. We have today with us Ryan Oakes, the Global Health and Public Sector Industry Chair at Accenture. Hi, Ryan. We have Judith Hahn, the Executive Director of Nursing Professional Practice at Yale New Haven Health. And we have Deputy Commissioner Mark Polzella. He's the Deputy Commissioner of Labor for the state of Connecticut. And I can't think of 3 people who could give us a better kind of look at kind of what the opportunities today are with apprenticeships. So I'm going to start off, you know, asking some questions here. Ryan, can you tell us, first of all, about Accenture's apprenticeship program? Why is your company undertaking this initiative, and how exactly does it work?
Sure, Mark, I'm happy to do that, and appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I'll start with just a bit of context and give the macro of what we're doing across the country, but really zoom in on Connecticut quite quickly, just so people have a sense. Globally, Accenture is a company of 775,000 people. So give you a sense of scale. Here in North America, 20% of all hires that we are doing this year are apprentices. So it is a model that is serves multiple purposes for us. The primary and most important is, in fact, as just good business. We are a business that is based on people and talent, and it is our job to find talent wherever we can in order to bring that to our clients that we serve in virtually every industry around the world. Our model is relatively straightforward and standard, which is we working collaboratively with university partners, government entities, non-governmental entities, and nonprofits in a particular city or a metro. We establish a apprentice program. The Hartford region will be the either the 9th or the 10th, depending on how you count, that we've launched in the last 2 years, with other opportunities as close as Boston or as far away as San Francisco and Houston, and the metro areas there. And our focus is completely departing from the more standard degree requirements, which, by the way, we hire lots of people with college degrees every year too, and we look for talent there. But in this particular model, we look for skills as opposed to degrees. So we've removed the degree requirement. We're frankly looking for folks who are have an interest and some basic level of aptitude around, I'll say, computers in general. I know that's very broad, but whether it's programming or it's technology in general or a curiosity, and we bring them into a 12-month paid apprentice model. I want to emphasize we pay them as we would virtually what any of our employees start at. So this is not a low cost or 50% of wage. This is a solid, good paying role for a year. We run them through a 2-month training program to launch, where our focus is on the skills to be successful in a corporate environment. That's relatively similar to what we do with any hires from any other source, with a little bit more focus on some of the skills that we've observed some folks tend to pick up once they've gone through a college environment that some of these folks may not have yet. We then progress them into a more market relevant technical skill, and they get busy working on projects just like anyone else would. The thing I'm most excited about is, and what makes this program self-sustaining for us and scaling, is roughly 90% of the people who are employed by us as apprentices go on to be full-time employees. That's 9 out of every 10, which the secondary part of that is that when we then look a year or 2 later, after we've brought those folks on out of the apprentice program, the retention rates and the job satisfaction rates are also higher. So we have happier employees, we have better retention, which drives down costs for us. And frankly, we're accessing talent pools that are helping us in our very, very public journey. We report all of our diversity and inclusion numbers publicly across a range of dimensions every year. And it is a pathway for us to also really make progress there in and across our workforce. Hartford is launching the cohorts in January, February, and March, and we will continue to expand rapidly thereafter. So I'll pause there, Mark, because the 2 other panelists that are talking about apprentices are far more interesting to me. So I'll pause there and let you continue.
Well,
on
I have Ryan, I have one more question for you. Then I am going to turn to Judith and to Mark. But what's your advice, Ryan, to other companies that are interested in learning more about this kind of model or trying to replicate what you're doing here?
So 2 things. Call me, and I will absolutely share every bit of our architecture, our framework, our approach, how we run the process. It's very, very open book. In fact, we published with the Business Roundtable last year, and we revised it again just a few months ago. The playbook that we use, how do we think about it from an HR perspective? What kind of training do we offer? This is something we're very pleased to share our experience with. So that's point 1, is you're welcome to hear more about it. Point 2 is, and this is more of a this was a real journey for us. It's something we couldn't see when we started, but we see it now. The key to our success is, in fact, to have the diligence to look at this as good business. not to look at this as something that we should do or that it's the right thing to do, or we should engage our, or a PR effort of sorts, as much as it is frankly just good business. And it takes a certain amount of structure and scale and discipline. And so what we've found is that when we launch in these metro areas, by including others, by including clients of ours, so we have many wonderful clients in the Hartford area and across Connecticut that we work with, by bringing them into the program with us, it helps with some of the scale and some of the structural elements that make it a more attractive sort of financial result. And then candidly, when we get to a certain sort of velocity and scale, it just becomes easier for the programs to run. People can be very comfortable with it. And the math of it tends to then make sense, which of course helps to bring along some other parts of an organization, whether it's a mid-size or a larger organization, helps to bring some of the folks who are accustomed to more traditional recruiting pathways along.
And I don't know if you said this, but it is kicking off at Capital Community College, right in downtown Hartford.
With fantastic partners there, yes.
That's great. Now I'd like to turn, thank you, Ryan. I'd like to turn to Judith. As we all know, the healthcare sector was hit maybe harder than anyone else by the pandemic. How is Yale New Haven Health's new apprenticeship model helping to increase the availability of high quality healthcare?
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for having me today. I'd like to highlight our federal SAEEI grant, which is the State Apprenticeship Expansion, Equity, and Innovation Award. And this is really to support our unlicensed staff, which are patient care technicians. And we've developed an apprenticeship model for them in acute care, which is very different than long-term care. And certainly, I think to your point, through COVID, we have had a lot of nurses. There's ambulances going on outside. I don't know if you can hear. I am working at a hospital. That was actually a fire truck. But anyway, a lot of nurses walked away from healthcare. Our teams were disrupted. But as we learned, what people told us is we can get through anything with an incredible team. And these team members are so vital. We know that they are with our patients during their most vulnerable, private times and intimate personal crises when they're in the hospital. And, they're closest to our patients. They're also closest to the family. And like I said, they're integral members of the team. They also have the ability to influence our nurse-sensitive patient outcomes. And so we measure our falls, our CLABSI, which are central line infections, our CAUTI, which are urinary tract infections, and certainly our pressure injuries, or as you would think of as bed sores. So these folks are really need more intensive training to be part of that team, and they're getting it through this year-long apprenticeship model. We are gathering some metrics. This is a 12-month program where they have a mentor who is an RN dedicated to them with a monthly seminar. And really what the RN does is work with them for 4-hour increments on their units to hardwire what they're learning in seminar. And we're doing lots of simulation, which include things like someone else that earlier today said soft skills, but in healthcare, communication is the root of many errors. And so we do practice team training and clear communication in our simulation labs. And we have another segment called clinical reflections, where everyone has with their mentors an opportunity to talk about what's going well, what's not going well. And we're learning so much about them and their home life and their experiences during that time. So in our metrics so far, we're showing that these folks are growing exponentially every month with their confidence in practice. And that includes their just confidence as members of the team, but also with equipment. In acute care, we have beds that do magic things. They weigh patients, they turn patients upside down and on their heads. And really to be able to manage these devices is really complex, as well as doing things like EKGs and phlebotomy. The patient's condition changes rapidly in acute care. And what we're feeling is from the surveys from managers is that these are the stabilizing folks that if we have a disruption in nursing staff, that the increased competence and confidence of these team members is really helping us. We're also, Matt, tracking their usage of our Ed Assist program, which is for them to get more tuition assistance and go on. Some are enrolled in nursing prerequisite courses. We also have close relationship with Gateway Community College and some career pathways. So these folks are more likely to access our internal resources than those in the role before them. So we're very excited about this program.
That's really great, Judith. And one thing I want to point out before I turn it over to Mark, who will give us a broader view of all of this, is that in both cases, we are not talking about, friends, small numbers here. As I understand it, Judith, there are going to be like over 1,000, maybe 1,100 people in your program, apprentices.
Right.
And
so
I know
we're
that Ryan's
growing.
talking about hundreds of people over time in the Accenture program. So we're not talking about 1 or 2 or 3 here. We're talking about hundreds and maybe thousands. And that's why I think this is such an exciting kind of opportunity. I want to now turn it over to Mark. And I know we're kind of a little bit, I have to move forward from a time standpoint, but can you share with us, Mark, the state of Connecticut's overall work around registered apprenticeships and what you're seeing right now in terms of growth in that, which is really exciting?
Yes, thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so registered apprenticeship, I think it's important we continue to use the word registered apprenticeship programming. And really, apprenticeship is much more than a program. And although we have established multiple programs, specific programs, like the ones at Yale New Haven Healthcare System, registered apprenticeship is bigger than a program. It's more than a program. It's actually a structure that is designed intentionally for an employer as a systematic way to onboard and train individuals and individuals who come to the company that may be new to the company, to the industry, to the occupation. It provides them a way to become proficient in the careers that they are pursuing. And when we talk about expansion of apprenticeship, registered apprenticeship, a lot of times we associate registered apprenticeship being with the construction trades and manufacturing. However, we're hearing more and more about expansions of registered apprenticeship programs in fields like healthcare, IT, insurance, and childcare, just to name a few. And it's because it's a structured approach that it's adaptable to many, many career opportunities, as we're learning about. And building on the structure, really relies on partnerships that we're hearing about. And to establish a registered apprenticeship is really no different. It just requires the main partners of an employer, an apprentice, and in Connecticut, the federally authorized state apprenticeship agency, which is Connecticut Department of Labor's Office of Apprenticeship Training. And a lot of folks here today know Todd Birch, who is our director of apprenticeship. He has been very focused on innovation and expansion of apprenticeship in a multitude of non-traditional careers. And when we say non-traditional, we mean it in the sense that they are not typically thought of when we hear about the term apprenticeship or registered apprenticeship. And as I mentioned, we typically associate it with construction trades and manufacturing. But to develop a new registered apprenticeship program or expansion of into non-traditional careers is really very simple. It's as simple as having a discussion with Todd and his team just to determine what types of information and documentation is needed in order for an employer to build that program, meeting the minimum requirements for a program to be included. And there's some very important requirements, like a registered apprenticeship program is industry-led. The importance of this is that the program is vetted by the industry. It aligns with industry standards, and it provides the apprentice with the ability to be highly skilled and become highly skilled in high demand occupations. This is a paid job. Apprenticeships are jobs. That's a very important component of a registered apprenticeship program. It has to have structured on-the-job learning and mentorship. which means that in order for someone to be successful, they are learning from an experienced mentor, and that there are measurable and attainable competencies that go along with that. It also
That's great, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. I just, because of time, need to move us along, but in terms of the next segment, but I just wanted to kind of point out that Mark told me there are 6,700 current registered apprentices across the state, which is really, fantastic.
Mark, if I could just to add to that. So on a rolling basis here in Connecticut, we've been seeing well over 6,500 active, which represents a 40+% increase over the past decade, which is huge. And just in terms of expansion and innovation in the registered apprenticeship program, we've seen over close to 1,000 apprentices in a registered nurse program, 42 in the past year in CNAs, and just recently with the Yale New Haven Health in the patient care assistant, patient care tech program, 214 with a target of 1,250 by 2026. And I just want to add, Mark, I know we're pressed for time. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that registered apprenticeship programming offers opportunities to grow a qualified workforce. And we're talking about workforce shortages. Here's a real opportunity to give employers the skill sets they need to keep them competitive and growing, and also build successful careers for workers, like we heard from James in the previous segment. So
yeah, I agree. And I would like to have Todd Birch put his contact information in the chat line for everybody. This is kind of, key to addressing the workforce needs, because it's a learn and earn approach. And it really will help us to diversify our talent pipelines. I mean, I'd like to challenge us. I don't know what our total number of apprentices. I only know the 6,700 registered apprentices, but I would love to see us in the next couple of years triple the number of apprentices, in Connecticut, because while CareerConnect is really important foundationally, the apprenticeships will enable us to kind of get people ready for jobs that do require, longer training. And as Mark said, it's works in all kinds of, fields. So again, I want to congratulate everybody here for the work you've been doing, and turn it over to Kelly to talk about career pathways.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to Ryan, Mark, and Judy. Really appreciate your insights in sharing apprenticeship. I've been fortunate enough to sit on the Apprenticeship Council for the last 5 years or so, and really understand the importance and the value of apprenticeship across the state of Connecticut and many different diverse industries. So with that, I'd like to shift gears just a little bit and talk about career pathway programs in our high school systems. It's really important that we start thinking about the 9,000 to 12,000 students a year that graduate without a post-secondary plan, and give them an opportunity to start earning and learning while they're in high school. So when they graduate, they're not only college ready, but we're also ensuring that students have career ready skills as well. Many of them may go into apprenticeship programs or other types of work-based learning programs across the country. And when we think about apprenticeship and the German model as being one of the national or the international best practices, the students that go into apprenticeships after completing their secondary education are just as celebrated as those who are going into a 4-year college. And we'd really love to get students that opportunity robustly here in the state of Connecticut. So I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight just one of the really amazing career pathway programs that are happening right here in Hartford, Connecticut. And to have this conversation, I'd like to invite Shannon Marimon, Executive Director of ReadyCT, Leslie Torres-Rodriguez, Superintendent of the Hartford Public Schools, and Melanie Tucker, President and CEO of Hartford Healthcare, to talk a bit about the program that's been developed and running in Hartford as a best practice. So I'd like to start with Shannon. I have a few questions for you, Shannon. How did the partnership between Ready CT, Harvard Public Schools, and Harvard Healthcare come together to form the Harvard Public High School Allied Health Pathway Program? What credentials can our students earn, and how can programs like this be scaled across the state?
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. It's wonderful to just talk about kind of the origin story of this particular pathway and the opportunity, I think, to build off of it as a model, at least some of the elements of it as a model in other parts of the state. So Ready CT, we're a statewide nonprofit that is focused on the connection between K-12 education and workforce. Our theory of change is that there's a tremendous untapped potential in our students across the state in our public school system, and we don't have to look very far to see what we can identify as the talent of our future. And it also brings to life students who may be otherwise disengaged from the classroom or think that they don't really understand what the application, how to apply the learning that they're having in the classroom and what it will do for them in the long term. And so we're trying to create those opportunities and that access as much as possible. We are an affiliate of the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, which gives us access to a broad range of business partners across the state, and we tap into businesses to give those opportunities to students and make those direct connections so that we're breaking down the silos that might exist between education and the workplace. So this particular pathway is focused on allied health, and we had a model that was already in place. There's one particular pathway program that goes back to 2008, which was focused on engineering and green technology, as supported by United Technologies, now Raytheon, and taking the elements of that model, we have been building on that and creating a series of partnerships that really take cross-sector collaboration in order for them to launch. And this is a perfect example of one where we started talking with Hartford Healthcare about the incredible need. It was already referenced also by Yale New Haven Health in the healthcare sector, and the need to get students aware of what's even out there in the world of healthcare, because there's somewhat of a limited universe of understanding of what healthcare even is. And so we were talking with Hartford Healthcare about this opportunity. There was already a captive audience of students that were interested in the healthcare professions at Hartford Public High School in Hartford. And so we launched a pathway last year that is sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, with leadership from the entire organization that goes well beyond fiscal resources. It's also about human resources and rolling up sleeves to get into the work and be on the ground with the students. And so that's really how everything got launched last year. We started with 43 students in the pathway in year one, and that was 10th graders. And now we've expanded into a second year cohort, and that doubled in size. We had 81 students as rising 10th graders commit to the pathway. So we're now just around 125 students in total. And we're going to keep scaffolding that experience year over year so that there's sort of a word of mouth and a catching on to this exciting opportunity among the students. The credentials, first of all, there's a course sequence that students have access to that builds on itself, grades 10 through 12, and then a series of credentials, industry recognized credentials that can be attained, starting with the certified nursing assistant certificate, the first aid CPR, AED, or stop the bleed, OSHA 10 for healthcare. We also have committed to a partnership with the community health workers, certification providers to provide that for students, and mental health first aid. And then EMT is one that we're working on as well. And longer term, we're talking about patient care technician and pharmacy technician. So lots of opportunities, lots of exciting coursework, and then a work-based learning continuum of experiences that build on themselves, starting in middle school with exposure to what this pathway is and that it's available for middle school students, and then building into the upper grades, culminating in a 120-hour paid internship experience. So I'll stop there because I know there's others who have a lot more to add to this conversation.
Thanks so much, Shannon, for that overview and really pointing out the importance of getting students to be thinking about career pathways in middle school. So it doesn't all happen in high school. So thank you for that. Leslie, how do career pathway programs shape both the academic and professional trajectories of our students? And how are we using pathway programs to not pigeonhole students into certain outcomes out of their education? And how can we provide more opportunities like these to more students in Hartford and across the state?
Great questions, Kelly. And Shannon, thank you for such a great overview of how our partnership has evolved. So for us, career pathways they're an equity move, right? Research shows, for example, that women and students of color have less access to skilled labor training, social labor connections, limited earning potential, less access to STEM. Research confirms that students who display early warning indicators of disengagement, such as absenteeism to school, like if they complete a career pathway, they are 10% more likely to graduate. So through the career pathways, students engage in the work-based learning experiences. They attend the events, whether it be guest speakers, work as interns. Pathways offer opportunities for our students to not only explore what success is during, but also after graduation. And so we're able to offer the pathways at 3 of our comprehensive high schools. And the work, and Shannon started to touch a little bit on this, entails the pathway specific advisory boards. And those partnerships, they allow us to draw on the industry expertise for the work-based learning experiences, but it's the course sequencing and the programmatic support and assistance. So more than 55 businesses or institutions of higher education are also participating in the monthly planning of the job shadowing, the workplace tours, the guest speakers, the paid internship, and that course pathway development and the credentialing in our comprehensive high schools. I don't think that we're pigeonholing students. The focus has to always be on high quality, in-demand jobs. And so pathways prepare students for future studies, whether they choose to explore the pathway or move into a completely different professional, cluster. In our engineering and green technology, for example, right? It utilizes a year-round work-based learning curriculum that teaches employability skills, time management, teamwork, work ethic, communication, how to financial literacy, business writing. And so we're providing students with the opportunity to build the awareness and explore a wide range of careers within a professional cluster that, right, would possibly be a good fit. And the students in the Ally Health, right, they learn about a variety of careers through the curriculum, not just one particular job field. And I think the other win here is that we are being responsive to what our young people are telling us. There's not one engagement, one focus group that I do with students where they say, we want more relevancy. We want more connections to college and career. We want to learn how to bridge those two. And so I think that the more opportunities that we provide, the better. And some moves, some, I guess, enabling conditions so that we can offer more access is, well, first leverage student voice and hear what they're saying so that we could get at the equity and the inclusion and the agency for young people. But it's the parent and community awareness. We actually engage stakeholders directly in the redesign of that student experiences. So, we always kind of loop back and show our stakeholders and our partners in industry and higher ed, what is it that their contributions are looking like, sounding and feeling like for our students. Reimagining work for us, right? As a district, we have to think about the opportunity that we now have in front of us. We know that what our students will be expected to do when they enter the workforce after they leave us in high school is changing. And so our schools, not just in Hartford, but across the country, are still continuing to operate as they were 50, 60 years ago. And so we have the same structural inequities, if you will, that are at play, especially for traditionally marginalized groups. And so I think that's also an opportunity through career, right, pathways to get at those inequities and added readiness for the future of work. And partnerships. I think that's been a theme that I heard, not just in with Shannon's talking points, but the previous panel, the work-based learning facilitators that we have, for example, which funded through corporate sponsorships, Raytheon, Hartford Healthcare, and Travelers, they're at the center of this work. And then it's those deep partnerships, the advisory board structure, where we have more than 90 members representing 55 unique businesses or higher ed institutions that are showing up for our young people and informing the work that our educators, are also doing with regard to delivering curriculum. And so I think the more that we can engage collectively while listening and leveraging student voice, the more we can collectively impact the future of work.
Thank you so much, Leslie, for all that you're doing. And you've made so many important points. I think we could probably have this discussion for the rest of our time together today. But I'm looking forward to continuing the work and the partnerships with you. And as you said, it really takes a village in everything that we do. And when we can bring that connectivity, coordination, cooperation together, we can do amazing things. And that brings me to Melanie. All of this has to have an employer leading the effort. So thank you very much for all that you do. And we're really interested in learning a little bit more about what are the benefits of investing in students earlier, even before they've launched their careers. And can you provide some of the overview of some of the work-based learning opportunities that you have for students and share more about these opportunities and how they can build over time?
Yeah, thank you so much. We're excited to talk about this because it's something that we feel really passionate about and are excited to be a part of. I think that, we don't know what we don't know, right? Even now. And I think there's a wealth of career choices, across industries, right here in the state of Connecticut. And, whether it's healthcare or manufacturing or computer sciences, et cetera. And in healthcare, people typically think of doctors and nurses, and it's not even a tip of the iceberg. So I think, when we partner with the high schools and with Ready CT, and we're able to go into the high schools and educate the students about just the breadth of opportunities that are available within the industry, right? It's like Leslie said, there are so many different opportunities within an industry for the students to learn about. And so being able to, educate them about that, to go in, provide guest speakers, where they can meet professionals many times that grew up in their community, live in their community, that they can actually connect with, and then be able to come on to, the job site and get immersed into, the world of work here. You just never know where, a student is going to, spark a passion and want to pursue that. And so, and I think another thing that's, really great about this program is, we all compete for the same talent. But the wonderful part about this is we are bringing together, healthcare organizations in the industry to collaborate to solve the future problems, right? So we're building the future workforce, and the win is also, helping educate, current students about the opportunities and showing them that there is just so much opportunity right here in Connecticut, right here in Hartford, and really the sky's the limit, for them. So, the investment is incredibly profound. So in terms of the opportunities that, that we provide and that, we partner with, it's like I said, guest speaker opportunities. We do have a number of professionals that go into the school and meet with the children and educate them on the different roles within the industry. And then, they come on site, job shadowing, even internships, as Shannon said, Hartford Hospital actually hosted 10 for the first time last summer, which was a great experience. And then things like, mock interviews. So as they're getting prepared, to apply for jobs or internships, and even, programs like GRIT, which was a summer project-based program where the students got to work directly with employers on actual business problems and solve them. And many were actually implemented. So, the way the program really builds on itself is, is very exciting. And as Shannon said, right, there's a lot of opportunity to actually leave, graduate with, with being career ready, right? So you have an opportunity to, get a CNA, become a certified nursing assistant, and, you're more prepared to, move into a job if that's what you're looking for, right? And so you can get a job right out of high school, and you can pursue further education, right? So you can get a job and then, get help with school through like a tuition support program and become a nurse, get an associate degree in nursing, and then a bachelor's degree, right? And that's just one career track. I think we're able to really take that model and, and really create it across so many different types of roles within the industry. So, I think, it's investing in our workforce. It's solving for, the shortages as you described earlier. And it really is, working with communities, that we serve and providing opportunities to really provide, wonderful career opportunities where they can really earn, good incomes that will continue to grow the more they grow.
Thank you so much, Melanie, Leslie, and Shannon. This is just amazing work, and it's really a goal, I think, to replicate this in every school district across the state of Connecticut to really help give our students a pathway to prosperity in the future. So thank you and congratulations on all the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next, I'd like to talk about another population that is an untapped talent resource for us across the state of Connecticut, and that's the reentry population. So I'd like to introduce at this time Rob Hebert. He is the Chief Strategic Officer for Career Resources, and Crystal Engram, the Director of Human Resources for the Greater Bridgeport Transit. And we're going to have a nice conversation around training those and giving those second chance citizens an opportunity for a pathway into independence and prosperity. So do we have Rob and Crystal? I'd like to start with you, Rob. Rob, could you please let us know about the population you're training and the kind of training you provide and how you provide it and what those benefits are to those people that you're working with?
Great. So thank you for having me, and good to see you again, Kelly. And before I get started, thank you so much to OWS for giving us the opportunity to serve this population that is so near and dear to our hearts at CRI. But the We Rise program, as it's been called, is going to be utilizing a pre-existing network of welcome centers for returning citizens in 5 regions of the state. So our participant base are going to be people with justice involvement, anywhere from 0, it just happened, all the way to 5 years out. Some of these issues related to criminal histories, they last year over year, and they persist. So when we designed the program, we didn't want to focus on just returning citizens, because folks with criminal histories of any type run into any number of barriers, whether it was a serious offense or even something more low-lying, such as DUIs and things of that nature that have implications for insurance and driving and things of that nature. It's men and women, both. 18 years and up. Doesn't matter what the offense is, we're not precluding anybody from the services. And typically what we're seeing as far as their ability to work, I can reference back the State of Reentry report that CRI published last year, and that 6 months, we looked at a point in time study, and 6 months prior to release, 92% of inmates in Connecticut had less than 5 years of work experience or vocational training. And it doesn't get much better in the community. There, folks that are in community service, such as parolees and people in halfway houses, only 85% of them have more than 5 years of training or employment history. So the base of folks we're working with they're starting at a very low deficit. And I'm sorry, did you go on to ask me about the training we're providing specifically to them? Yes.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So initially they're going to get assessed for what they do need, but they're going to be put through soft skills training again, because their deficits can be so profound. And in that is, we talk about all sorts of things. Funny term that came up a few years ago, looking beyond the cash register, because a lot of folks, they see a business for just the facade, the outside, and they don't have an understanding of the infrastructure that goes on beyond it, the logistics of it, the management of it, the marketing of it, things of that nature. So we like to get them to think in those terms. Also, job search. That used to be easier years ago. We have an older population being released to the community today, and they don't know what Zoom is. Some of them don't have email accounts. Smartphones, things of that nature are not common to them. So we have to go, dive into things like, how do you interview with a computer? How would you have a conversation like this that we're having today? Conflict resolution at work, in the workplace, is a big deal. You can't just tell your boss to, blank and then walk out. Doesn't work that way. That's a big one that we spend a lot of time on. So after that's done, and we finish all that with mock interviews and job search strategies and things of that nature, we're going to be supplying what my boss calls a micro credential, something that can be done fairly quick, that they can point to as a success. The other thing that comes up with these folks is they haven't had a lot of wins, and the smallest of successes can be a really, really, really big deal for them. Graduating a Strive, or I see Joe Carbone's on the call, a platform to employment program, or getting your OSHA 10 might not feel like a big win for us, but it means all the world to them. So we want them to leave us before we hand them off to the American Job Center and their community with some wins and some credentials and some ability to enter training, and more importantly, complete it. The barriers these folks have often they prevent them from getting to the finish line. So our hope is that, we can get them to a place where their transportation situation is good, their soft skills are in place, and they can succeed in training and hopefully employment in the end.
Thank you so much, Rob. I mean, all of those essential employability and life skills are just so important, and we take for granted that sometimes people who have been incarcerated come out and have not experienced, the technology that we use today, and it changes so rapidly. We get a new cell phone, we're all excited, and then 3 months later, there's a new greater one out there. So it happens so quickly.
Kelly, if you don't mind, I'm going to use this platform to just make one more quick mention about our folks. The state of Connecticut in general, our Department of Corrections, they need help. If there's anyone on this call, I want you to know that if you have anything to do with helping to fortify the infrastructure and the digital literacy potential of the Department of Corrections, I just want to throw that out there, because again, there's next to nothing going on inside related to technology. They do have tablets and intranet, but it's just not what it could be. I think it's an investment I hope that we can make in the future in the state.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And I know that, several of our legislators who are with us today have worked on the vocational village funding that was established for DOC. And we have some DOC partners on the call here as well today. But in business involvement is very important in these programs to drive the skill sets necessary for the training programs to really marry up with the needs. And that is why we're very excited to have Crystal here with us today talking a bit more about what it is from an employer's perspective of working with justice involved in reentry. So Crystal, if you could just share with us what motivates Greater Bridgeport Transit to partner with CRI in training and hiring reentry individuals, and what do you say to employers who express trepidation in hiring these individuals?
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. I first would like to start off by saying, starting off with GBT's mission, which is contributing to a better community through public transportation. And our vision is the highest quality bus transit service possible. With that in mind, I also want to note that we have had a long-standing relationship with CRI over the years, before there was a work shortage. And our relationship with CRI had to do with interns. We've had CRI interns as part of GBT. We've provided in-services to their clients in the area of soft skills training. And we've learned over the years about their programs. And I feel that's worth mentioning because we feel that CRI has established themselves in the community as a reputable organization, which is where it all begins. Also worth noting, we've talked a lot about transportation on this council over the past few months. And so, as you know, transportation is essential. Therefore, transportation workers are essential workers as well. Before I forget to note, one of the benefits of working in transit or for GBT is we provide free transportation to our workers and their families. So that kind of lessens the burden, so to speak. So partnering with CRI was just, it just made sense. It made business sense. And I think that when we look at our practices in the organizations that we're involved in, we need to constantly look at new ways of thinking about the issues. We need to examine whether they are system issues or people challenges, I should say, system challenges or people challenges. And that brings us to looking at the populations and the workers that are available to us. We need to look with fresh eyes. And we at GBT, we constantly look at our EEO plan. And I would suggest that other businesses pay attention to the equal employment opportunity guidelines that are available to them when looking at their plans and examining their programs and keep them fresh. So that is why we thought it made good sense to partner with CRI and tap into the population of justice involved individuals.
Thank you so much, Crystal, for all that you do in this work. It's very important work, and there's a lot of talent in the reentry population, and a lot of opportunity for us to help them give a hand up so that they can fulfill the talents that they have and benefit the employers across the state. I do want to mention as well that CRI is a recipient of CareerConnect dollars to help them expand and grow their program across the state. So we really appreciate your partnership, Rob, in this work, along with the many workforce boards that you work with as well, doing this work across the state of Connecticut.
The other part of your question, I'm sorry, was for employers who express trepidation in hiring these individuals. I would go back to your EEO plan. I would go back to hiring practices. I would also suggest that you have a leadership, your leadership be well informed about what's involved in hiring and how are they making their decisions. If they are informed about your EEO guidelines and being connected to the community, I think it makes it makes it easier, and you can hire quicker if everyone is involved in what's going on. Community involvement is very important. And when I say community involvement, I mean being in touch with the agencies that are available to you, being in touch with the agencies, being in touch with the school systems, having access to the school systems. As the HR director, I routinely visit the schools, middle schools and high schools, and talk about a lot of what has been discussed this afternoon, and have an agreement. We're looking at our apprenticeship program and trying to revitalize it with the technical schools, because most of our positions require CDL licensing. So just planting the seed for young people to consider a career in transportation is very important. And I thank you.
Thank you so much again, Crystal and Rob. At this time, I'd like to pass the baton back to Mark to bring us into the next section of our meeting today. Mark.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, we're going to be going into industry breakout groups, where we're basically going to talk. These breakout groups are kind of organized industry, as you can see here, and each one will have facilitate a facilitator or two facilitators. And the focus of these breakout sessions is really to kind of focus on what is working in terms of kind of key initiatives with regard to kind of workforce development and partnerships. What type of partnerships have you formed and are working? And we'll be talking, we'll invite everybody here to go into one of these breakout rooms and be able to learn more about kind of what's happening within a particular industry. So
I'd also like to just point out that these breakout rooms are set up to reflect our regional sector partnerships. And so we currently have 10 across the state. And I've been hearing a lot about the annual convening that is happening, that many of them are established for about a year now, and the amazing amount of growth that has happened in these regional sector partnerships and the outcomes. So we're really looking forward to digging in and having a deeper discussion when you jump in the breakout room.
that's great. And I'm told that the breakout questions are in the chat line for everybody's, reference. Laura, can you give people the ability to kind of sign up here? You'll see at the bottom a breakout room piece, and you can just select which breakout room you would like to attend. Yeah, it seems to have stabilized, so I'll just kind of. Fortunately, I don't have that much to cover here. Really, I want to kind of, for all of you that are back, I hope you enjoyed today's Governor's Workforce Council meeting and enjoyed the breakout sessions. Hope you found the discussion engaging and that there were some really good action steps that are meaningful for you and your organization. We'd love to get feedback from you as always. And I want to wish everybody again kind of very joyful, happy holidays. And we look forward to seeing you in February. So, and before that, hopefully in terms of, working with us on some of the committees. So everybody have a great evening, and thank you very much for participating today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.